Resolution A, the architect for Crawford Park, the Sensory Garden. And before we actually approve that, I just want to bring the council up to date. Tonight, we're going to approve the retaining of an architect for the Sensory Garden. This is part of the Community Development Block Grant that we received. That was applied for at the end of last year and approved at the beginning of this year from the state of almost $400,000. This is the first part of it that went out for RFP for an architect, and we had Greg Arcaro, the Friends of Rytown Park, et cetera, and Debbie interviewing, and recommended Being Here, the architectural firm Being Here, to do the Sensory Garden. Last month, we released the RFP for the playground, and that should be coming back in a couple of weeks, and hopefully will be approved at our August meeting. Gary Gianfrancisco was previously chosen as the architect for the pavilion, and hopefully at our next August meeting, we will actually have the bid specifications ready to go out to bid for the pavilion work for the handicap accessible bathrooms and kitchen. And tonight, a little further down, we have the RFP for the mansion / community center to be sent out. So we are moving forward on all of the community development block grant parts of the various parts for the CDBGs. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. And now, resolution to approve Being There as the architect for the handicapped accessible sensory garden. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? If not,
On the question, cost $63,600. How is that falling in with our budget?
that's within the budget.
Very good.
That's the estimated cost.
Being Here, where is that located out of? New York City? Okay. And are there any local projects that they've also done in the area, or?
Without looking at the documents, it was about a month ago that I reviewed them.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you for sure.
Okay, just curious.
By the way, this was a group that the Friends of Crawford Park had previously interviewed, and they were highly recommended, and they actually came in as a low bidder, I believe. So it's very good that they're getting the award.
I would say also they have extensive work with special needs
Oh, that's fantastic.
populations, and they were also the only bid that really thought through the concept of what it means to design for ADA compliance, how special needs populations experience a place or a park.
That's fantastic, and they're familiar. I guess they've been working with Crawford Park, sort of. They have that working relationship, which is great. Friends of Crawford Park.
They were recommended actually
Yeah.
by I think either Teresa or Laura.
Yeah.
They knew of them from their experience, because I know that Teresa works at the Botanical Gardens in New York
Yeah.
City.
No, that's great that they have sort of that open line of communication.
All right, may I call the roll, please?
Councilpersons Jackson,
Aye.
Nardi,
Aye.
Baxter,
Yes.
Villanova,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. The security system for the town of Rye offices. Deb, you want to give some background on this, what we found, why we're doing this?
It was shortly into the beginning of this administration, it was brought to my attention that there was no alarm system or video surveillance system in the town offices. So I began a search for vendors to come in and do a site visit of the property and advise us what precautions they recommended for our space, given the size of our offices and the functions that go on there. We collected bids from 4 different vendors. Some we have used previously and others not. And that culminated in the best proposal coming from Pirate Security, which is a vendor that we have been using for many years at Crawford Park.
And one of the reasons that we need the security is our tax receiver collects substantial amounts of money, and it might be a good idea to have video surveillance and alarm systems in place for that purpose, as well as the protection of all of the other employees of the town.
My question is, how invasive they're going to be
That will be one area we are not videotaping.
when they go to install the system? When they go to install the system, how invasive they're going to be going through walls and stuff with everything that's like brand new there?
They,
Or they didn't get to that point?
no, we actually did. I'm trying to figure out how to answer your question, which is one side of the building is impenetrable, but the other side of the building is not. So they'll be running wires along the rafters, and it might be best not to publicly announce where those wires are going.
No, I just don't want to, I'm just curious how much damage they're going to do opening walls and then have to retape and paint on something that's...
They're
Fairly
they're snaking wires, so I don't expect damage at all, frankly.
Okay.
And is there a yearly maintenance fee associated with this? In other
There
words-
is, and that's
Okay.
built into the estimates.
All right, because this looks like it's all equipment, but there's a maintenance fee on top of this? These last 2 pages, is this by month? Is that what that
Those
is?
last pages refer to a vendor that didn't get the bid, so
Oh, okay.
don't pay attention to those last couple of pages.
Okay.
All right?
Good.
May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Call the roll, Hope?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I should have asked my question. I'm sorry. Total amount is going to be 5,030?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
The next resolution is to authorizes the town of Rye. Actually, it should be the superintendent, I believe, to support an application of the Rye Town Park Commission to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation. This is a resolution in support of the application now in process to plan the future of Rye Town Park. Obviously, this will be, have to be approved by the Rye Town Park Commission, and it is up to $500,000. We're hoping that we can not only plan for the future, but get grant money for a handicap accessible ramp and to make the bathrooms handicap accessible as well, at least in the main bathroom pavilions and those in the north area. This resolution is a statement of support to go forward, and obviously, ultimately, the grant will be for 50% of what the ultimate cost would be, with the town and city of Rye responsible for anything for the other 50% in the appropriate percentages. Questions?
I think Councilman Baxter had a change on the resolution.
Well, I just think in the resolve portion, we should say to support an application as opposed to this, just
Correct.
because it hasn't officially been filed yet.
All right. As changed?
I fully support this. I know that funding for Rye Town Park, because there's two main sources of funding. Sometimes it's at odds, but I think this will be fantastic. If we can get this, it would be great. And any improvement we can do to the park, and especially any kind of eye towards planning for future weather events, which has been my main, if we do put in a ramp, I would ask that they consider making it, somewhat weather resistant or.
Well, it will. Actually, the rubber pads on the ramp right now work pretty well, but unfortunately, the slope is such that it's more suitable for a skateboard tourney than than wheelchairs.
But even the longevity of that and the bathrooms and the main facilities, I think,
Yeah.
to keep in mind that we've been having some serious storms in the past 5 or
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah, and hopefully, ultimately, if this application is approved by the full commission, this will be a multi-year project, because the first year will be basically for planning and hiring an architect to determine what is necessary to do, because you can't do until you plan. And there will be visioning, bringing all the stakeholders in to determine what it is they wish, the park users wish the park to be. So that will inform the ultimate decision of what kind of capital work will be done. The other thing I wanted to point out, and as you were talking about the weather, is that Debbie, what happened to the bathroom pavilions last week?
Flooded.
Ceiling fell in the men's room
Oh.
From the rain.
from the rain, yes.
Yeah.
It was direct line from the
So-
hole in the roof to the ceiling falling down.
So, I mean, the facilities now can't even handle normal storms.
So,
Well, they have a tarp over the roof, and they have fixed the ceiling.
so basically, ultimately, we are going to probably need new roofs on many of the facilities. We already have a new roof on the administration building. And at some point in time, the visioning process will determine what the building will be used for in the future, if anything, and what kind of costs will apply to that, and whether we can get a grant for it. But that's what this whole process is. This is the first step in the beginning of the process. And hopefully we will go forward and be successful.
Well, in reading this, there's a couple of things that stand out to me in particular. It says that in 2011, we got an estimated cost to cure of over $14 million. Further down in the fourth clause, it says that the matching grants are up to $500,000 from New York State. Is this on an annual basis? Is this in total?
No, the one that we're looking for now is for the up to $500,000. That has very little to do with the 2011 estimated cost of over 14 million.
14 million was a global cost of the
Cost.
entire.
Correct.
The entire facility.
So-
Every structure in the entire facility, $14 million.
So now the 500,000 is going to be focused on the repair for the ramp, the bathrooms, urgently needed handicapped accessible, sturdy condition.
Actually, it'll be for planning.
More of a master planning.
Master plan
Okay.
to bring in.
One important thing, when did this happen? I wish I knew when it happens. If you don't mind, in the future, maybe shoot an email out to the entire board when we have events like this that happen. And a reason why I mention this
By
is that
events, you mean the bathroom falling in.
if there's any kind of an event like that, ceiling collapse in one of our facilities, I think the board should know. Paul and Hope will tell you I was a stickler with that with prior administration. I think it's a good way to communicate, only because we have a varied amount of background and history. So, with that history, and then I'll ask Paul and Hope to maybe they remember. We had an issue with that roof once before. There was an insurance claim that was put in by the town of Rye to have the roof repaired. There was another issue shortly thereafter, and this is my first year on the board. I forgot who they hired to do the repair, but I'm a little concerned that there was an insurance claim that was made by the town of Rye. We got paid. There was work that was done. I'd just like to know where this roof was compromised.
In other words,
And
if it was in the same place.
If it's in the same place, then I think we kind of need to go to the contractor and say, hey, listen, you were paid for a job, because there was a claim that was put in. That was the first thing. Second thing here is that, when we have any of our facilities, we have insurance, so we put a claim in right away, because there's money's due to us, so we can get that repair done immediately with no cost to the town.
That roof is terracotta, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the repair will be terracotta also to
Yeah.
keep it.
So it was repaired, though. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
It was repaired probably 10 years ago.
I was gonna say 10, 11.
Well, I don't know if a contractor is going to guarantee that for 10 years,
Should,
if it is.
We have
But
yeah.
you raise a point, is that we can put in a new insurance claim for that,
Of course.
all right? That could be a brand-new claim,
So we got to take a look at it.
all right. Any
What
other
I was
questions?
going to offer is that the $500,000 for the current grant is to do a full assessment of the state of the property right now, and also to run a visioning exercise with the stakeholders, all of the stakeholders. So with the idea that we're going to end up with a list of shovel-ready projects that we can then apply for grants
Okay.
to fund at a stage where we can afford to match those funds as we go through, sort of to leg into the project, rather than take on all $14 million at once, or whatever the number is now.
Yeah, I mean, the key to this in the whereas clause is developing the grant application to engage in a community planning process to identify needs of the park and to study the conditions, costs, and approaches to the preservation of structures in Rye Town Park, resulting in a priority list of shovel-ready projects. Because that would be going further in the future. Once we get the projects shovel-ready, then we'll be able to apply for additional grants, whether it's directly to the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, or other places, or to get separate money once we're ready, which our elected state representatives can look into. So, but we can't do anything without a plan, and that's what this is for.
Bob Nyors, he sat on the board, he did
I know.
could you use any of his recommendations? Because that wasn't so long
Absolutely.
ago.
No, absolutely, but that would be,
That plan that Bob ultimately had was a I don't want to say a duplicate, but it complemented the same plan that Lisa Easton did. And really, it was an overview of the park. That's the $14 million. It was an overview of the park and the structures. And it's similar to the plan that the book that Lisa Easton is probably sitting in your office, right, Deb?
We have several
Okay,
copies.
So you have those, very good. Okay, so you have these books, and it's pretty much a similar, it's the abridged version of Lisa Easton's book. You know, what is it, what's the terracotta roof, you know, installed new square footage, what's the square footage we have, here's the estimated cost. And similar things to that. So at the end of the day, I mean, whether you take Lisa Easton's or the Bob Nioris one, it's all similar.
Yeah, well, basically-
I agree with Debbie Reisner in saying that let's go forward with this, get the plans all in place, and then once we have these separate plans, these shovel-ready projects, then we can turn to other grant applications. Say, okay, listen, this is the one we have.
Yeah.
Let's go and start hitting them all.
Judy Eisenberg, who's doing this for us, has spoken with Lisa Easton and has the copy of her book and has in fact scanned it in. And that is the basis of part of what we're doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that is going forward. As I say, we need to plan before what's the old saying? Measure
Twice, cut
Measure
once.
twice, cut once.
Yeah.
right? That's what we're planning to do.
I would add Lisa Easton is joining her efforts in the current proposal free of charge.
That's great. Yeah, I tell you, Lisa's been nothing but spectacular as long as I've experienced her in the town of Rye. And she exposed a lot of, not that anybody ever did anything malicious when they were working there, but mistakes that people did in repairing that actually caused
More problems.
more problems. So,
Right.
and
I heard about
They
the
should've-
columns.
yeah, they should have had Lisa on earlier. So, glad she's here now.
Okay, so a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll. Oh,
Councilpersons Jackson,
An enthusiastic yes.
Nardi,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Villanova,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
yes. Since we're talking about RFPs, I'm going to bring this forward. It's not, I asked Hope to add it, it's not on the printed agenda. The RFP for architect and engineering services, which I mentioned earlier for the, for Crawford Mansion. And basically what this is calling for the selection of an architect to do the work at the mansion. Basically, it's a two-pronged RFP. One is for the handicap accessibility that was set forth in the community development block grant that we received. And the other, Billy, you'll be happy to know, in attachment A, is the needs of the mansion as set forth in the work done by Bob Nioris and Tom Nardi. And we are going to combine all of those needs into one project so that the single architect will be responsible for the bid documents and specifications for all of this. So all of the work that's been done in the last several years and has not been brought to fruition, but has been simply planned for, now hopefully will come forward and get completed.
Would this, I know there was some talk about possibly including an elevator as well, so that
That's
you could use
included.
the second floor?
That's included in the CDBG grant
Yes.
for the accessibility for the second floor.
Perfect.
So this is to choose the architect. All right?
And then, I'm so sorry to keep asking so many questions, but as far as working with the consultant, I know there was a lot of discussion about different uses for the upstairs, as far as different community groups and everything. That'll be part of the discussion as well,
Of
correct?
course.
Okay, great.
All right, further questions? We don't have a formal resolution, so I'd like a motion and a second.
I will make a motion.
Do we have to move to add it on? Because it's not on the
Do we
agenda.
need a motion to add on the agenda? Thank you. Tony.
You're very welcome.
Let's have a motion to add to the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now a motion to issue the RFP.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Jackson,
Another enthusiastic yes.
Nardi,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Villanova,
Yes.
and Supervisor Zuckerman.
Yes. Now, Paul, you're on next. Resolution to authorize the town attorney to conduct
Yes.
2016
This
in
is an
rem
annual
proceedings.
event for the new members. This is your first opportunity to permit me to move forward with the in-rems each year in the summer. Nick prepares a in-rem list of eligible properties, and the amounts this year are actually lower. It's $894, which isn't too bad. I see there's 23 properties on here that are eligible. The only difference is that the resolution I prepared had a fee of $500 per parcel. Hope cut me down to 400. No, I'm kidding. She had used an old resolution. And yes, that would represent an increase of $100 per parcel for me for two reasons. One, this takes up an extraordinary amount of my time, and it has not been increased for about 4 or 5 years. As you know, in fact, next week we're having the auction for my class of 2015 in REMS. The three of the properties that we took in, are being auctioned off next Thursday. Now, keep in mind, this money is not paid by the town. It is paid by the taxpayer when they either redeem or when we collect at the end. So it's of no cost to the town, but it does represent an increase to the
Well, you're
town
actually
attorney.
getting less money because we have fewer parcels.
Correct. It's a per parcel and whatever, but but fewer parcels hopefully means less time, which is not always the case, because one can take up an awful lot of time, because as you know, many of these people engage us or engage me in explaining why they are in the situation, and some of them take some time to pay during the course of the in-rem process. So Nick and myself do spend a lot of time dealing with these.
Oh.
But in order to go forward, I usually start in August, we don't meet again until middle of August. And then, like I said, sometimes we're done by May. This year, we're not going to be done until September, because after the auction, it's 30 days to close, then we have closings, so that's a whole another process.
Well, let's go over what you have. At the last meeting, we authorized the sale of 2 of the parcels, and we're in contract with that. And,
Which we hope to close next week.
right, and how much money are we getting for that?
100,000.
100,000,
50
and,
each.
and,
But the taxes are, I think, 20,
20,
20, so we'll net,
not about 60,000.
right.
All right, so that's good for the town. And meanwhile, the other properties that we're selling, we are collecting rent. Our constable has gone out and been our rent collector, and in the month of July so far, we've collected over $17,000 in rent, which is kind of found money, which is nice to have.
And that's been going okay. There's been no
No, everything's fine.
hiccups. Well, I mean, as far as rent collecting
Yeah,
thing.
it's fine for the supervisor, but
Yes.
for those of us that are on the ground, no, it's interesting. A little pushback, but no, I mean, they paid. The important thing is Ernie has been great. He goes and collects the rent, and we gave envelopes, but they didn't really use the envelopes. A lot of paid in cash because this is how they used to pay. We give them receipts. So, a couple of, hey, the check's in the mail, hasn't quite arrived yet. So we're working on it. But it's better than we thought,
Yeah.
quite frankly.
And then, so once we start, I just want to see how long, kind of gauge how long we'll be in the landlord business. They go out to bid.
No, we're auctioning on the
auctioning
21st. It'll
on
be a
21st.
the terms of sale will be a 30-day, no more than a 30-day closing, or, obviously that range.
One more month of rent before.
There'll be
One-
one more month of rent to
And then
collect.
we're-
We should be closed, everything by September 1, I hope, assuming all three get auctioned off. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a possibility that one or the properties do not get auctioned off, which
Well,
also,
there's also a possibility that they don't close, that they don't come up with the final figure.
well, then we keep their down payment.
Then we
though.
keep
They
the
have to
down
put down
payment.
10% at the auction, so they're told to bring money orders and denominations of $5,000 payable to themselves, which they will then pay over to me at the auction to hold the 10%. The terms of sale are you close within 30 days, or if we consent to an adjournment. But if you don't, you lose your down payment. So they understand that, and people who do this do understand that. So we could conceivably get a down payment and then not close. But I think the only issue, and I guess Supervisor will have to instruct me, as to where do you want to start the bidding? Do you want to start at 50% of assessed value and then make a call from there if nothing happens? I mean,
Well, that's the minimum I would do.
it's the town board's
Yeah.
call, where we start. I mean, these are two of the all three properties we've had interest in, meaning people have been calling, asking a lot of questions. People have, done drive-bys to look at them. So I'm assuming all three will generate some bids. But again, you can't get title insurance. They're taking subject to tenancies. All of them have tenants. So there are inherent risks, to do this.
And that'll be reflected in the price.
That's in the
for-
terms of sale.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the price, the fact that we're starting at half assessed value, it means you're getting a bargain.
What has past practice been, Paul? What has past practice been?
It's a good question. The last time we did an auction, I think it was like I think the first year we did it, I don't think we've had many auctions since then. So, that last time, the first time we did it was basically the amount due maybe another 10%. It wasn't high. But we did a bidding war, do I hear 50, do I hear 75?
I think we're going to get a good result because two of them are commercials.
Yeah, these are very interesting properties, and all have generated a lot of interest, all three, because there are tenants in them. One tenant wants to buy, the Quintard property, neighbors want to buy, and investors. And then on the Mamaroneck property, I think we'll get a couple of people interested.
Well, now I'm looking at the rent collection ledger that I have, and the Quintard property isn't on it. Is the-
Because the person living there is a squatter.
Oh, okay.
We've left notices that get ripped off. We can't seem to get her attention, so we're going to let the new owner deal with it, we've done that in the past, actually.
But you said that the squatter was interested in purchasing the home?
No, that's
No,
on
a
it. We
neighbor.
have tenants.
Oh,
We
Neighbor.
have tenants at 70 Grace
Yeah.
Church that's interested, and we have
I think the person living there is apparently a relative of the named owner.
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor.
Not
We're not sure.
confirmed, but we think it's the daughter of the former owners, but we cannot verify that.
by that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll make another decision if the property does not sell. Then we'll make another decision as to whether we want to bring a proceeding to.
And in your experience, what percentage of the properties usually sell during these auctions? Is it usually like half of them?
Let's see, well, we did it in 2009. We sold probably 80% of them. But a lot of them were very undesirable. Remember that, we hadn't done an NREM
Yeah.
in over 10 years in the town of
But
Rhinebeck.
there were parcels of
Yeah.
land that we were trying to auction that had zero to no value without the adjacent property buying it. So it wasn't a buildable land, it didn't have the proper dimensions and egress. So some of them are landlocked, you just gotta be very open-minded about them. Some of them, it's parkland.
I guess my concern would be some of these that do have tenants that we have been collecting rent. If they do not sell, how long are we going to be sort of in the landlord business?
Until we
Until we
dispose
sell.
of them.
Until we sell them.
If nobody, again, it's unlikely, but we can always lower the price. I mean, we wouldn't go lower than the taxes due, but we always have the option to lower the price. And
Okay.
if we give no interest, we can start
Yeah,
lower.
but the thing is, if we've already gotten interest, then you know that there's a good chance of a bidding war, in which case the property's gonna go up.
I think so, but again,
We won't know till we do it.
right, when people are confronted with the reality of A, writing a check, and B, realizing that there are, inherent
Yeah.
risks to this, sometimes
No
they get-
title
they-
insurance.
Right, they get cold feet.
So is half the assessed value a reasonable starting point?
For these properties, yes, definitely.
Okay.
I didn't even know you could buy properties without title insurance. I guess
No, if you get a mortgage, a bank would require it, but these
yeah,
are all cash
these are
deals.
all cash, so they don't.
No bank would loan on these right now,
Yes, Paul knows I'm somewhat of an expert on title insurance.
right?
No, just kidding.
No, we know you are.
The resolution is as amended at 500, right, Hope? Okay.
Yes.
I have a motion and a second.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the roll.
Councilpersons Jackson,
Yes.
Nardi,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Villanova,
Yes.
and Supervisor
Yes.
Zuckerman.
I may have a motion and a second to cancel the scheduled meeting of July 19th of 2016.
So moved.
Second.
You don't want to hang out?
You can come to the Park Commission meeting.
Yes, I will be
All
there.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None
Change
opposed.
afterwards.
The assessor's not here for reports. Crawford Park, I think we've given the report. The controller's not here for the finance report. The tax receiver and clerk have submitted their reports. The superintendent of highways is not here for his report. Let me just bring you up to date on highways, specifically bridges. We're in discussion. Another thing that we're working on is working with the Village of Mamaroneck and the Town of Mamaroneck to make a grant application for the Hillside Avenue Bridge.
Yes.
There's apparently a program that will give 95% of the cost, which is a very good number. And hopefully we will be able to apply for that and make a joint application. Comments from our council people?
Just mention something.
Sure.
The mobile shredder, the county shredder, will be coming to 222 Grace Church Street on August 27th. It's for all residents, or it's for the public,
Good.
from 10 to 1, so
All right.
I just wanted
Maybe
to
we want to put that
notify
on our
people.
website, okay?
27th. August 27th. 222 Grace Church Street from 10 to 1.
Okay. Comments from the council?
I just want to say that this Saturday I had the opportunity of attending the 4th of July or Independence Day fireworks. And I think that the volunteers, especially Hope Klein, they honored Aldo Vitigliano for his many years of service to the committee. They did a wonderful job. It was a wonderful event, and they truly deserve our gratitude. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Thank you. Tommy?
No, I don't have any comments tonight.
Bill?
Yeah, a couple quick things. One, do we know when we're going to get the update, the financial report from the new accounting firm?
August,
Our August meeting?
yes.
Okay. Very good. And I'm just going to fill everybody in on the efforts regarding the fields behind the Portchester Middle School. So that's the stormwater reconnaissance project, and we've gotten so far as the planner. The county planner has asked our engineer to modify his proposal to be more, I guess, more acceptable to the county. It's just a minor modification. As the supervisor knows, I spoke with the engineer this morning, and we're expecting that update this week to be submitted to the county. And as soon as I know that that's submitted, I'll be on the phone with County Legislator Gelfarb to have a little pressure and try to move things along here in the summer months. And that's all I need to report on for now. Thanks.
Tony?
I'm good.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.